Well, hello everyone. On behalf of NY, I'd like to thank the opportunity of being part of this event and talk about a topic that I like very much, which is innovation. I'm Rodrigo Bisler, Executive Director of NY, and responsible of creating a practice called commercial transformation. And when this challenge was brought to me, to talk about innovation because it's a very broad subject. So that's when I thought of taking this chat of ours to talk about of innovation to clients. I think it's important for all of you here and you have this issue and it's probably relevant to you. And taking innovation to clients brings a reflection and a question, which is how do we think about a concept that most of worldwide leader companies deal with, which is customer centricity. Today, it's been used to leverage long-term sustainable results. So, it's with this question in the background that I intend to develop this thought that deals with commercial innovation when we talk about clients in the center of this debate. Well, and I want to start with a very important reflection. Nowadays, when we see these worldwide companies and market leaders, they bring as a starting point many growing pillars, and they bring that the growth must be sustainable and it must be customer centered. But is it really? Are they being able to do this? Does the customer notice the value proposed by this strategy of customer centricity in all the commercial relationship? So it makes us think that what have we been doing? And many worldwide researchers have brought an interesting result. By the answer of the clients, only 8% of the clients receive or they consider to have received an experience within the expectation that they had. So, if globally we have this customer centricity mindset, how can I have one among 10 clients noticing that what they expected? So, our understanding is that there's a gap in this relationship of what the company wants and what the customer notices. Especially, it's hard for companies to change their strategic interest in capabilities that really translate into this so expected experience by their customers. So this is where we bring this innovation idea in capabilities development in companies that are worldwide leaders. But before we talk about innovation and what are these capabilities or these innovative abilities that take us to this customer centricity and achieve these long-term results that are searched by companies. First, we need to understand these challenges. I list here the 10 most important points that bring challenges in terms of this debate, but I want to highlight a few. And all begins with this increasingly high customer expectations. All customers and clients are really receiving more and more customized messages. Just go in on a website or in a supermarket and you have apps that are really customized and do very specific offers to us. And this is a world where the customer is more and more connected, and brings us to the second point, which is using data across the enterprise to drive stronger outcomes and optimize revenue performance. So it's really easy for our competitors to take this data and bring to the customer view and understand what each client wants. This in a more and more competitive environment. So we need to develop more assertive commercial and business relationships to deliver more with the less. And what's the demand? What does this demand of the need to understand the client brings about the ability of the company to innovate? But when you innovate, thinking about the client is how do I balance the present practices with new practices without a very big disruption in what has been working so far? But what we bring here in this scenery is this thinking of what's the key capability that companies wish to have to bring this customer centricity focus. And they should focus on their business, generating opportunities, adding value to the clients and customers, and using technology that replaces operational tasks. If we think about it, a simple activity, a physical traditional market, which is like placing an order. Today, this is easily replaced by digital channels or uh, automation and replace the salesperson or the sales force to do this transaction. So this is very clear when we start to see these challenges that we call here of we call it empathy gap. This empathy gap brings a view show where the leader companies that can really understand what are their customers expectations and having a deep understanding of these expectations. So the great theme of innovation is closing this empathy gap with my clients. That's the goal. That's really, really relevant. Now, coming back to our theme on how can we think of this customer centricity idea to have uh, good results, we have to think how to transform these strategic challenges and how to work in this competitive market, bringing solutions that can translate into my client this perception of value within this journey. The greater the strategic nature of my relationship with this customer, greater will be the value perception that they will have. And as I showed in that empathy gap graph, there are distractions that happen between this relationship. The activity itself is distracted by what goal do I have to reach, what product do I have to place in my order, what are the crucial processes that I have to follow. So this creates a distraction environment that makes it hard for my sales force to focus on what really adds value to my customer. And knowing that this ambition is not enough as an isolated activity as typing, for instance, but you have to think about a commercial journey transformation. So you have to think about five things on how can we connect within this journey in a more structured way. The first thing, it has to do with connecting all this customer journey So this is relevant, and it has to do on how do I anticipate the demand and reduce this journey? What do I use in terms of technology so that this journey really takes to the client this value perception? And from all these items, and I'm going to talk about them, is how do I replace this mindset of my sales force or my customer relationship client area to change it to a management view in terms of customer relationship. But I only manage this relationship when I really can focus on how to add value to my client. That's where the technology comes in to take off these operational activities, for instance, placing an order or things like that. So technology comes to help. Well, no, I'll talk about each one of these items, and it's very quick. It's good to understand of each step of this journey. So when we talk about to deliver the right thing at the right moment, we need to have the ability to connect all the data sources, whether it's marketing, sales, internal and external data, to create an intelligent, structured database to help the decision making of my departments, an intelligence that allows me to understand very quickly what my customer wants, what's the behavior or certain segment of clients. So this first step has to do with developing an integration capability. And how can I bring this digital consumer behavior, which is knowing how they behave when I use the digital channel? This is very relevant. The second item, it has to do on how do I connect this journey and make it relevant for the client and for myself in a way that today when we talk about omni-channel and using of the use of digital channel, that's when we start to activate new technologies and the need of these clients need using all digital platforms that are available so that we can provide him a sale anywhere and anytime. Then the next item has to do with the anticipation of the needs and demands and reduce friction. So how the company develops the competence to provide this smooth journey and use this data I was talking about to be able to anticipate the needs of behaviors. How do I provide products and services to my client according to their expectations? So we talk a lot about availability and transparency and power personalization. Why? Because more and more this technology and data control, more and more I'm able to provide personalized products and service to my customers. And that's what brings us to a customer centricity that is really effective within the organization. And the theme that I talked about, and for me is one of the main challenges, which is to do this mindset shift, to stop thinking about commercial campaigns and start to think about relationship management. Deep down, when I talk about building loyalty programs and relationship program management, it has to do with my Salesforce mindset shift. So when I understand the behavior of my customer and I replace this mindset of thinking about the client in a way of managing the relationship, that's where these technological issues come in, where I can take from my sales force or my sales department activities that don't add value, and so that a salesperson will be able to think with a long-term relationship mindset. And last but not least, and I have very little time left, this is where we reach at the utmost of all this innovation, which is bringing to the company this data-driven, customer-centric, and business partner idea. So from the beginning, the leader companies have a focal point in their customers. They understand that having their clients in the center really can bring a competitive edge that is really important. They know everything that happens to their clients, who they are, what they want, when they want, and all of this creates a favorable environment for this long-term relationship. So, because of that, the available technologies for each part of this journey are all available. They're more and more accessible if you compare it to a few years ago. And it enables companies to act and place their customers in the center of this journey. I hope that this reflection could really make you think about this. And once again, I'd like to thank the invitation, and I'm available if someone has any doubts or someone wants to evolve this debate. Thank you, and see you next time.